Have you ever struggled to have a beautiful culture where you work? Whether you're the boss and you're hiring your first assistant, or whether you're part of a 50-person team, today's lessons on how to hire people, how to fire people, how to know when you should hire or fire are brought to you by my dear friend, Billy Boughey. Billy and I met at Lewis Mind's Greatness Mastermind. And from the second, he was actually the very first person I met at the very first dinner. Billy is the founder and president of an Atlanta-based company called Elevate Experiences. And he's also the author of the newly released book, Culture Reconstructed. In it, Billy talks about how to create a work culture that works for your entire team. Our entire way of working in an office space, working as a team, is changing. No longer are people just going into cubicles and not talking to each other, but an entire culture, team members who are excited to be there, people who have your brand values as the forefront of every action that they take. One of my favorite stories about Billy is the time that he rapped live without preparing on the Jimmy Fallon show. He is seriously fearless. And not only that, he's one of the kindest men I have ever met who is willing to open his heart, be there for his team, and has taught me so much how I can be a better CEO and badass. Here's my conversation with Billy about how to cultivate the ultimate dream job with the ultimate dream team working for you and alongside with you every step of the way.
You're listening to the Play It Brave podcast. Join Darcy for a wild rummage around in her wit and wisdom. She's a photographer, an educator, and a marketing ninja. Each week, she's going to be teaching you all about creating a life full of mindset, money, and marketing miracles. Listen to real-world experiences and surefire strategies from expert guests, all to keep you focused on your path to success. Think less hand-holding or fist bumps. So stop playing safe. It's time to start playing it brave. Here's your host, Darcy Benincosa.
Billy, I am so excited to see you. It's
so
like our
excited.
Own little mastermind reunion right here.
What we were talking before this started, and there was no hands involved, but now the hands are there.
I'm always jazz hands. I know. The drama comes out. Once the lights start rolling, the cameras start rolling, watch out. The drama major Darcy comes out.
I love it.
It is so good to see you again.
You as well.
Congratulations. You have a book. And I remember hearing the concept of it last year, and now it's here. It's on Amazon. It's taking over 2020, and it's about a topic that is so important, especially for us entrepreneurs, because we now have a workplace, working systems. Some of us work virtually. Some of us work at our homes. Some of us don't have, my whole team lives in different states. I don't know if I think your whole team is mostly in Atlanta, but it's like
we have some in different places too. Yeah.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really revolutionary way that we're all doing business now. And you're a bit of a master of how to create a healthy culture of work. And when I hear that, because your book is called Culture Reconstructed, I wanted to get it right?
Yep.
And I love the design of it, by the way. And it's like, I think I know what culture is, but what do you mean by culture reconstructed, especially in regards to the workplace?
So the subtitle of the book is A Start Where You Are Guide to Building a Remarkable Culture. Mm-hmm. Most people in culture start where they were or start where they want to be in the future. They don't.
That's where I always start.
Right? You're so idealistic of culture and you think about it way too late. And for me, I believe in the power of story. Everybody has one. And when stories collide, they either get better or they get worse, right? And so in the workplace, when stories collide, it's either going to collide like this, where they're hitting each other, or it's more congruent. And I truly believe that each person on the planet has a unique gift, and how they show up in the workplace, how they show up to deliver that gift is incredibly important to get the best work out of them, to produce the revenue you need to produce, but also add more value to their lives. And so for me, just clearly defined, if I were to say, Billy, what is culture? It's the things that people allow in the workplace.
And Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, most people have this really fancy, big definition. It's just the culture is like what you allow, because a leader gets the opportunity to say, here's our standards, but this is what I'm going to allow and this is what I'm not going to allow. And I don't know if people think about it until it's too late and they say, oh crap, I shouldn't have allowed that. And this building block, these 14 building blocks, gives you a framework of thinking about things before it's too late, of getting together those building blocks and saying, what should I be thinking about collaboration? And what is my process in communication? And should I have fun? If I do, what's unstructured and structured fun? How do I create a culture of care? What is diversity and inclusion? What is health and wellness? So just these pieces that you might not have all of them perfect, but at least gives you a starting point to where to go.
It's so true. And sometimes I think we can all think of a job we didn't like. We didn't feel seen. We didn't feel our talents. I remember I had a boss who, made me call him Dr. So-and-so, even, he was a principal of a junior high. And we got in a huge fight over the school play because I accidentally called him dude. I was like, look, dude. And he's like, I am not a dude. And he just went off. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to talk to this guy. And I was terrified of him. And I quit that year and moved to a different school because I thought, I can't allow this man to be my boss. And ever since then, I wanted to be a very good boss. And now that I am a boss, it's like, how do I create a healthy culture? So what are some of the things that do you ever come in and like do team makeovers where you're like, let me help you with your culture. Here's where it's falling short. What are some of the tips you give to people where you go in and talk to them and say, okay, it's time to restructure, reconstructed. I'm sorry, but restructure.
No, you're good. Yeah.
Your business. How do you restructure that?
Well, we do have VIP days where people can come to Atlanta where our office is. It's 2 half days, and a creative anywhere between 2 people up to 50 people is a perfect sweet spot. And if they're trying to scale that, our team will sit with them and go through these building blocks and give them a definitive plan afterwards. And one of the key things that we do during that time is we tell folks that the number one rule in culture is people support what they help create.
I love it. It's so true.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're a part of creating it now, there's that, and that's beautiful. But also, if you never set the standard as a leader, the creation continues and nobody knows which direction to go, right? And so you've got to have this balance of, here's what I say it's going to be, but also I want you to be on board and I want you to co-create this with me. There's a Venn diagram that's in the book that I share that every single successful culture has 3 things. It has energy, community, and connection. Energy is the appropriate the community energy you have there. Like, how much energy do you have in the room? Is it high five or is it handshake? Is it hug versus handshake? How do you connect from an energy standpoint? How does that energy transfer to your clients? How do you follow up? And then it goes into the systems of that. And then you've got community. How are you helping people that work with you build community with each other? Are there systematic ways you're thinking about not just talking about work, but really building that community with them? And then connection is every great culture. People are connected to the brand. Meaning, now in the world of social media, what kind of stories are they telling on Instagram about their work? Are they sharing on Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn? Are they telling stories about positive things in the workplace? Or are they just not saying anything? One of the key indicators for me, just frankly, I go to someone's social media and see, how are they talking about their job? How are they saying? What are they communicating? Not that that's the total indicator, but when you have that energy, community, and connection, folks will gladly post, maybe not all the time, some more than others, hey, I'm excited to be a part of this brand, not a part of this job, not a part of this 9 to 5. I cannot stand, this is Billy getting off my high horse. I do not hear people say, thank God it's Friday. There's something wrong with your business if people say that. I love when people say, thank God it's Monday. I'm thankful that I get the opportunity. And so energy, community, connection, we try to help business leaders figure out how can you get your team to say, thank God it's Monday versus thank God it's Friday.
I think most of my team, because we all work at home, is like, what day is it?
What day is it? Yeah,
we don't know.
True. That's very true.
I have no idea what day it is ever. So a lot of my listeners are probably at that place where they have maybe one person working for them and maybe they want to expand the team. Do you have ideas of how to conduct, what are the things to look for so that I want somebody who has skills I don't have, which organization, promptness, all of these things that I have on some level, but not when I'm responding to emails or keeping up with that kind of thing. What do you recommend when somebody wants to bring on a new team member? Do they like write down, I always say, write down your Mary Poppins list of everything you want them to be. Do you have any advice for people knowing when to bring on someone? Because I'm at the place right now where I'm like, ooh, should I bring on one more person, or is that just too many people in the room?
Yeah, it's a great question. I get it a lot. And my best answer that I'm thinking about in this moment, because I answered a lot of different ways based on the context of the person that I'm talking to. But ideally, if you can write down the number of problems that you have in your business, you can answer that person most likely you can answer that question with the person. And
Okay.
so I try to really figure out what were the issues that I was having in my business. Some of the first couple hires at Elevate, first person that we hired, they solved a problem by doing the exact same things that I was doing. We're a business where we create experiences for brands. We do a lot of hosting, emceeing, creating run of shows, and really making an event come to life. That's where the Elevate business began. And so I hired somebody that could go and execute on that. And then right after that, I realized, man, there were a lot of systems and structure and behind the scenes things that I really needed. And the next team member that I hired was someone that was really kind of a funny joke now. She's our chief of staff at Elevate. I told her and said, hey, this is really only a part-time job. I can only hire you for like just a couple hours a week. And she sort of smiled at me because she realized how much stuff that I actually wasn't doing. So if you find the right person, they can begin to poke holes and ask questions. But there's two things that I look for when I hire somebody new is positivity and being nimble. Those are the two things. If you're to boil it down is I got to have somebody has that energy and is positive. We're going to overcome. We're going to find it. And you got to be nimble and know that it can adjust, particularly if you're a creative. We're a small business. We've got 10 people that work at Elevate. So we're still on the smaller end of size of teams. But at the same time, each time we hire someone new, we take that very serious.
Yeah.
We look at what problems they're going to solve. How are we going to onboard them? We even labeled an entire year at our business the year of systems, because we really want to look at if it's worth doing once, then it's probably worth doing twice. And once you do something twice, if there's not a system, everybody's going to do it different. And so,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? Like from a creative standpoint, we want to be creative and we want to try things new, but there are certain parts of your business you can divorce from creativity, right? Not everything is creative in a creative business. It's here's our structure, here's what it needs to be. And then it can free you up and take the guardrails off of that creativity. And so a lot of creatives I meet, they're like, oh, I just want to go with the flow and I want to hire freelancers all the time. I'm like, maybe that's the right thing to do. But really figure out, are you neglecting the fact that some of your business is not creative? It's, I need this structure to stand on to be able to be even more creative. So I would say that they can really be thoughtful about the problems they want to solve and then maybe answer those problems with the person and not more stress.
Okay, I have two follow-up questions. One, do you ever take interns, like somebody who wants to learn what you do and you teach them the ropes? Do you pay them? How do you find them? Do you ever do that, or is that just too much trouble?
We have had 40 interns at
Oh,
Elevate,
wow.
and
Okay.
it is the most beautiful, amazing, awesome thing that we've ever done. Well, not ever done, but it's up there. So each semester, we look at what are our needs in our business, what are the divisions of our business. So right now we have client services, we have a creative department, and then we have a business development department. So those three departments, we look at what position could be filled in those three. And whenever we look for interns, it honestly started with just a couple. And if you do a good job with a couple interns they have, they'll go tell their friends. So we have a couple universities in around the Metro Atlanta area where we've gotten all of our interns from. We actually have 2 that are starting this next Monday, and we treat them just like a team member. Once they get to the business, it's, hey, you're not getting coffee and taking out trash. You're actually going to be diving into real problems and issues that we're doing. And we set the standard really, really high for them. We do pay them. We don't pay them much. It is a slight paid internship. For this is just personal opinion. I think they're, every intern you had, you should pay them something.
I agree.
To figure out at some level, it could be just a stipend or a monthly fee or whatever it might be. They feel honor in that. But at the same time, we now have 40 raving fans that have been with us that are now, and whenever we launch something or do something, not only have they helped build it, I can look around my office and see the number of things our interns have spoken into and done a great job. Now, you got issues like most of the time they're young and a little bit crazy and zany and don't show up on time. And like there's of course issues with that, but it is beautiful when you can find the right ones and call them up. A phrase I use a lot in culture is don't call people out, call them up. And then you'll develop something really great.
I love that. So here's kind of a unique situation for the photography industry is that oftentimes they'll hire an assistant or an intern or something, and that person also wants to be a photographer or is a photographer. They'll come on, they'll work for a year or two, and then they'll go and you do their own thriving business. And oftentimes during that, I've heard many people say, they ripped off my whole website. Even just this week, I've had one photographer say, my second shooter is basically using my exact wording on their pricing PDF. My second shooter took images from my wedding, the wedding that I'm in charge of, I was hired for, and they put them all over their website as if they were theirs. And my person just ripped off my whole, I'm hearing all of these things that I'm thinking, gosh, you either didn't hire the right person, you didn't have strong enough boundaries, you weren't clear on what you would or would not allow out there. And you kind of just thought, I'll be your friend, and I don't want to, I want to be friendly with my employees, but I don't want to just hire my friends. Does that make sense? Do you have any thoughts about that?
I have so many thoughts. Right when you're asking that question, I said, oh my goodness, there were 15 things buzzing in my head. I'll start with this one. There's a ride at the Magic Kingdom, Walt Disney World, that Walt created for the 1964 World's Fair in New York City. And it's a ride called the Carousel of Progress.
Okay.
And it's a ride that has this song. As you spin around, it spins really slow, and it tells this cool story about time. And the song that happens as the ride is going around, it goes, there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a dream away. Man has a dream, and that's the start. He follows his dream with mind and heart. And when it becomes a reality, it becomes a dream for you and me. It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. So this idea that I really believe there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's also the facts and reality that most people stay at a job for 2 years or less. The banking industry.
That is a reality, huh?
The banking industry in the late 80s figured this out by saying, we're going to hire associates and know they're only going to work with us for 2 years, and then they're going to leave, they're going to go back to school, and then they can advance on what they do. For me, I try to be as frank as I can early and say, we have a non-compete at our business, and saying, we're really, really clear. You sign it beforehand. Here's what it is. You can't go work with our clients, da, 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 da. But also at the same token, in a creative industry, and now that Gary Vaynerchuk has made entrepreneurship part of it being on such a pedestal, all of us want to go be an entrepreneur and start our own business. And I love Gary. I'm a huge fan. And knowing that he says this phrase a lot, that number 16 at Facebook is making a whole lot more money than you or I, trying to paint that picture for people that entrepreneurship is not easy. Going out and starting your own creative thing is not easy. Once you begin to scale, you begin to ask questions of people. So I ask early. When I see somebody who's awesome that's working for me, I'll say like, hey, what do you want to do? I think that is the greatest question you can ask as a leader. Hey, and for real, and make them comfortable enough to actually answer that question. What do you want to do? I want to start my own photography business. That's awesome. I'm going to help you build the most kick-ass, dominant photography business on the planet. All I really need from you is to go all in and help me build this for a year. And I promise I'm going to build into you so you can go rock it. And watch their guard go, wait, what? Oh my goodness. I'm going to go all in on helping you. That's great. And then what if we flipped it on the culture and blessed them and taught them, and then we launched them out and said, I cannot wait for you to dominate. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to stay longer because they see that heartbeat. They are. But if you're honest enough on the front end saying, you got to sign a non-compete, here's the thing's expectation, I don't want you to rip off the web. Just lay out those things in a really clear thing and say, I don't think anybody would really do this. I just want to put something clear on paper, but then train them as best you can. Just know, look around. Very few people stay at a business longer than 2 years. And we get emotional about that, but it's just the facts. The great, big, beautiful tomorrow probably doesn't include the people that are on your team today. And that sucks, especially if they're awesome.
Yeah.
But if you're playing the long game, then that's okay. Just communicate that early.
And I think that's unless you can get them to a place where they can grow and they can, I can't remember if it was you and I talking about this on our last mastermind, but basically allow them to up level their position so they're not always the email person. They can graduate into higher realms. And that's like my big goal for Cassie. I tell her all the time, she's going to be hitting her 2-year mark with me. Oh, I'm scared. But I tell her all the time, like, I want your dreams to come true just as much as my dreams to come true.
But you're painting a vision for her. Most people try to squash, stay on email, do the thing. It was like, if you ask the question, what do you want to do? She's going to have an amazing future knowing that her leader cares enough about her to create a path for her. When you're a creative and you don't have a career path, and there's not manager or director, there's not these places to go to, just ask questions. Hey, what do you want to learn? I ask my team every year, like, what conference do you want to go to, and what do you want to learn? And then I say right after that, how will you go into that benefit elevate? And I've got teams raving that we spend a couple $100 for them to go to a cool conference, go learn something and bring it back. So there's ways as a creative that you don't try to say mine, and hold it tight. How could we just have our hands open with our people and say, I want to help you dominate. I want you here as long as possible. I want to help you grow. But I know at the end of this, most likely you're going to find something else. But because I love you and I want you to thrive here, I want to see how I can keep you as long as possible and serve you in a way where you feel that. And then when you do leave, it's all good. And then you have an advocate and you begin to work together.
Yeah, because I think the picture I was painting is both of those people are acting in fear. One person's afraid that person's going to go and take all of their ideas, and the other person's like, this person's never going to let me grow. I'm going to take all their, it's like that fear scarcity mentality. Whereas, when you really foster, like, that is our job. We can't control anybody's actions. We can't control how long they stay, but we can make the experience that they have. I do ask my people who come to work for me, I do want to know, I ask them, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And if they're the star of the show, if they're like, I see myself running my own business and doing my own podcast and all this stuff, I just know that's not for me, because the brand already has the face. And so I really want somebody who likes to do the behind the scenes stuff and doesn't need the major significant recognition. Do you recommend that, or do you like to bring all different kinds of people onto your team?
Yeah, I think you nailed it with the kind of questions that you ask in the interview process are super important. Just seeing that glimpse of someone saying, I want to start my own brand, I have a big social following, and that's fantastic. I totally want you to do that. There's not space here in this role for that. And I don't want to disappoint you, and I don't want to disappoint your vision. But if you want to come to a place and achieve that 5 years from now and learn from someone that's doing it, like, I would love to if you think they're talented enough, I would love to have you a part, but be honest with them. There's not going to be space for them to do that here for the next season. I think a lot of times I'll meet people. We got some people on our staff that are 21 to 25 years old. And I hear the big dreams. I'm a big believer that there's this healthy balance of hustle and patience, and they try to, like, remind someone who's 21, I'm 43 years old, that, gosh, time at 43, I feel like mentally I'm 21. If I could go back and say, like, take more time, take a deep breath, and be somewhere that you believe in the leader and you believe in the people, and take your chips on that table and shove them to the middle. Because if they're the right leader, they're going to honor you and celebrate you. And let's say you bust your tail for 5 years, you're going to wake up at 26. And you're going to have so much great experience with a leader that saw you go all in. They're going to do nothing but help you. And I think people that are holding their cards close to their chest or not really going all in, and they're trying to do it for themselves, I would just say, hey, go do that for yourself. And you're going to wake up at 28 saying, I wish I had worked for Darcy. Like, I wish I would have had somebody that would have been honest enough with me. So I think you nailed it with the right questions in the interview process. But then someone you really like who answers that, figure out a way where you can be honest with them from a vision standpoint and challenge their years and see if 5 years from now, if you get there, what if you spent your time here full going all in for 2, learning so you can get there? Because I want to help you do that. Again, if you think they're talented enough, I want to help you do that. But would you be okay if that was 5 years from now? They say, oh, no, I'm hungry. I want to do it now. Great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, then you go. Okay, what about difficult conversations? Because I do become friends with my employees. They're close-knit. I don't have very many of them. I haven't had to have too many difficult conversations with my employees. And I tell them up front, like, I don't want to have to make everything sound super nice. Not that I'm mean, but I don't want to have to worry about offending anybody, because I'm just going to tell you the shortest way to say it. I try and teach them how I communicate. But what if you can tell that it's just, you need to have a difficult conversation. Either their work isn't up to par, or the communication style isn't working. Do you have a way you approach that?
I do. A couple things come to mind. I like making things really, really easy and practical. And one of the things that I use is hats. So early in my relationship with team members, I'll literally take out 2 different hats and I'll say, hey, I've got the friend hat on right now. And when it's friend hat, I love you. Like, I want this to feel, this is not a family culture, but I want it to feel a lot like family. I mean, if you have a flat tire, I want to be the first couple of people that you call. I want to ask about your family. I want to know your birthday. I want to know your anniversary. Like, I want to know those things. But hey, there are going to be times where I'm going to have to put this president founder hat on. And when I do, it doesn't mean I'm a jerk or I don't care about you, but I'm looking for your best interest in mind. And I want to be able to say things straight and say it honest. Are you okay with that? And then just be quiet and see what they say. If you can do that before you have to get pissy or before you have to, like, just say, here's my I use the hats really helps me. And then when I sit down, I had that conversation today with one of our higher up team members here at Elevate. And I said, hey, can I put my president founder hat on for a few minutes? And I could tell, like, he swallowed and go, oh gosh, for a little bit. And I said, hey, look, I'm saying this because I want us all to grow, but I want to be able to be really, really honest with you. Can I shoot you straight? And it was fantastic because he knew I care about him with the one hat, but I had to put the other one on. That's one. Another thought I have is, if you can write this quote down, listeners that are out there, if you're a creative and you're beginning to scale and you're hiring people, whether it's contractors or part-time or full-time, is know this quote, write it down, get a tattoo and send me a picture of it. Don't get a tattoo, but at least put it somewhere and send it to me. Is, I believe that people grow into the conversations you create around them. If your people are not doing work up to par, it's probably because you and the leader are not creating a better conversation. I ask people all the time from a culture standpoint is, what kind of conversation are you creating around excellence? What kind of conversation are you creating about a launch? What kind of conversation are you creating about client services? You need to always bring it back to ask yourself, what kind of and put it on your own shoulders. I love the idea of radical responsibility that everything is my fault. Everything. If something goes wrong, it's on me. I need to create a better conversation. So the hats and the conversations are two, hopefully, things that will help.
And feeding into that, which I love that response, by the way, thank you so much. What are some really good signs of a good leader, a good founder, a good CEO?
Self-awareness.
Yeah.
Self-deprecation.
Yes.
Don't take themselves too seriously. Have a heart to grow. I talk about this in the introduction of the book, is nobody's perfect, but we are perfectible. My favorite scene in cinematic history is the last scene of 8 Mile.
Oh.
Why?
I
Because
don't remember. You got to tell me.
there's this guy named Rabbit, his Eminem. In the beginning of the movie, he stands on stage about to freestyle rap, which I'm a freestyle rapper, by the way. Those of you that don't know me, I've been known to break it down a little bit. I might at the end of the show. We'll see
I think you should. I think it needs to happen.
We'll see how it goes. So he freezes and locks up on stage at the beginning of the movie. Everybody boos him off the stage. He spends the whole movie. He gets beat up by these guys. These guys sleep with his girlfriend. He lives in a trailer with his mom. He's got like this really tough situation. At the end, the very last battle, at the very end of the movie, he raps against the top guy that's like against him. And he gets a little insight from his friend named Cheddar. And Cheddar says, aren't you afraid what they're going to say about you? You know, they slept with your girl. You live in a trailer. They beat you up in the street. Da, 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 da. And Eminem kind of looks at him for a second. He's like, kind of smiles. And then he gets on stage and they flip a coin and Eminem goes first. And the way a rap battle works is you're supposed to like tell the other person, battle them with your words so the crowd boos you and they vote for that person. Well, Eminem flipped the scenario. He started his rap like this. Let me tell you some things that you all know about me. I am white. I am a fucking bum. I do live in a trailer with my mom. My boy Future is an Uncle Tom. And he like said everything about himself. And then he took the mic and he tossed it. And he said, now tell these people something they don't know about me. And the crowd goes, oh, snap. And then the other guy gets up there. He has nothing to say. Like he's totally stumped. His words are empty. And I think there's something really great we can learn from that. I think we can learn that, gosh, people don't want to see you all polished up all the time. They need to know that you're credible. But I think the best leaders ask themselves, how can I show my vulnerability of here's some things I struggle with and here's some things that I'm thinking about, and bring people in. You will have folks lean in fully. And so I would just challenge creatives, whenever you screw up, be the first person to say it. Like I try my best with my team saying, you know what? I made a bonehead decision. That was really stupid. I should not have done that. I'm so sorry. And they'll go, great, let's do it. If my team makes a mistake, Like we've had some multi four-figure, a couple five-figure mistakes in our business that cost us some money. And
yeah, me too.
if they come to me and say, hey, I know you're going to be pissed, but I did this with a client and it's going to cost us $12,000. I'm so sorry. I've learned as a leader, I can either like, who do you think you are? Get the ruler out. Like, no. My first response is, hey, thank you so much for telling me that. My first question for you is, what'd you learn from it? And they'll say, boom, 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 boom. And then, of course, I'm finding, is it redeemable or is there something we can do? And I watch their face just glow and go, oh, my goodness. And if we can find that gear as a leader when somebody screws something up or there's a piece of creative that didn't quite meet the client's deal and we got a little pissy with them or whatever it might be, if we can figure out how to get to the bottom of those emotions. There's a great book called Emotional Intelligence. You probably heard of it before.
Yeah, I love that book.
Learning that emotional quotient in all of us and knowing that none of us are perfect, but those are a couple things that I think will help us really look for and discover what a great leader is.
I love it. I love it. You know, the biggest thing that I think holds my business back is that I need to approve everything that they do. I'm still a little nervous because I've been the one who built this thing from the ground up, and now to have somebody else have a part of it, and then I can't. It's just like I get in the way because then they could be producing all these things, but then it all bottlenecks at me, and I'm like, I have to prove it. I have to prove it. I have to prove it. I don't think it'll always be like that, but how do we as leaders get out of our own way? I guess just train better, right? I don't know. I mean, That's probably pretty obvious.
That's a great question. So a chapter in my book, so each chapter is just titled a word. And the chapter on delegation is probably one of the things I get asked to speak about the most. I'm actually looking at the book now. It's chapter 11, page 94 of the book, Delegation. And in here, I share my delegation spectrum. The delegation spectrum is simply a stair step. Step number 1 is to do for. I need you to do for me. I'm going to approve everything. I just need you to execute this. The next step from do for, the next step up from that is to do with. I want you to sit alongside me and do this with me. The next step up from that is to think with. I want you to think with me on this. We have this problem with our business. Let's think with. And then the magic step number 4 is to think for. So it's a pretty easy grid. It's do for, do with, think with, and think for. I'm going to show it to the viewers that are looking along. It's just literally a easy stair step. And I think I might have shared this at the mastermind potentially.
You did, because I have this problem where I'm like, okay, do this for me, and then I have to approve it. And now I feel like with Cassie, we're definitely with the do with, do for place, but I want to get a couple more Cassies on my team because then we could just skyrocket to such a different place. So
yeah, I think when you get someone to that, they begin to think for the business. They know, like my team knows, when there's a piece of creative that goes out, about 99% of the time I need to see it. If it's a podcast, a YouTube video, whatever it might be, they'll send it to me on Slack and I won't even look at it. They'll say approved. And they'll say, that was fast. I'm saying, yeah, I'm trusting what you're putting out right now. I don't even need to listen to it. That's fantastic. I go, oh my goodness. So there's times like that, but there's also things I've gone out where I'm like, ooh, that wasn't great. And I'll go back to, like, what is done better than perfect on this particular thing? What are my expectations of it? And I need to have someone alongside me in the thinking process. And, you know, a phrase I use a lot is you must go slow now to go fast later. You got to go slow now to go fast later. So if you have a Cassie in your world that you need to figure out, don't just tell them the what. As Simon Sinek would say, start with why. Like go back to why we're doing this. And then launch them out and give them some small tasks and let them have success. And then you're able to do other things because we can only do so much. I mean, Darcy, you can only do so much. You've got to figure out how to have somebody think the way that you think. And on the lower level creative pieces, just let them do it. Now, the higher level stuff, you need to have your eyes on. But if you're always there to snap back at things, I don't think folks will never grow. And I'm still there in so many ways in my business, but I've tried to figure out what are ways I can get people to not just do it, but think about it.
I love it. I love it. No, this is so helpful because we don't get taught this stuff. And so many of
There
us,
needs to be a school. I feel like there needs to be some sort of creative university or like a place where you go.
there needs to be, huh?
There should
One
be.
might be launching this April.
Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger, stay tuned. But yeah, we just aren't taught how to do this. And so many of us build our businesses and then we're just in it so much. And when we finally come out of this bubble to take place as more of a leader, it's so hard to kind of function and figure out a new role where you're more boss-like. And how do you do that? And how do you have the boundaries? And how do you make sure you find people that you really communicate well with? And all of those things. I've been really, really lucky. But I think the luck has come because I've had boundaries. I knew what I didn't want. I was very upfront about how I communicate at the beginning. I can't have people who take offense. I want people who are open to self-development work. I want people with strong visions and dreams and all of those things. And not somebody who just wants to come in and clock hours. That's really important. And I think that's what culture is. We're really, really seeing the death of that old school system of clocking in at 9, clocking out at 5, and not being invested in a business. And now with entrepreneurship, I think the teams really just get invested. And that investment means you need to create a powerful culture.
Yeah, and you gotta ask yourself, what does a powerful culture mean? I love reverse engineering things and just say, what do you want to happen, and then write down those objectives and have that laid out there in front of you, and then show your team that you're taking steps towards that end. I mean, I didn't get taught these things either, and when I launched into it, the very first thing was I created a board of advisors. Mm-hmm. So there's different than a board of directors. I have a board of advisors that are not paid by Elevate, and I have 5 people. We meet twice a year, and I get to just tell them, and I give them permission just to shoot holes and stuff. So if you're creative out there, I would say pick people that are not a part of your business, 2 to 5 people, and commit that you're going to meet with them. Now, pay for their dinner. For me, I take people to play golf, like do something nice for them, but get questions laid out and have people outside your business poke holes. Yeah. I've got some folks that are older, some folks that are younger, different, and that has really served me. That's just like I actually have never talked about that on a podcast before, but that has been something that has helped me more than anything, because I have those 5 people twice a year, and they grill me about the decisions I'm making. I lay the books open to them and saying, here's what we charge for this. Here's the expenses for this. Here's the online platform for this. And they're like, it looks like you're not making any money doing that. Like, I need a really good reason why. So that's something too, is get a board of advisors around you at some level, and go to a mastermind. I mean, that's
what I was going to say. I'm like, mine came through the mastermind, Elizabeth, Jen, you, Candy, Rebecca, like all of them, I could tell any idea to, and they would just give me really honest feedback from people outside of my genre, like outside of my area. But this is why I love going to marketing classes and different things outside of the photography world, because a lot of photographers get stuck just in this world of photography, and they see how everybody does it and they do it the same way, and then they kind of just stay stuck. So I really love going outside of that. Yeah. I love it. Any other thoughts from your book that we didn't hit upon that would be really helpful? I feel like this is a really valuable conversation.
Thank you so much. It has been a joy. And we have the ultimate culture pack that takes the how and the why and marries them together. And so the book itself, Culture Reconstructed, this book is the why and the behind the scenes and the framework. But then we have the Elevate Your Culture resources, which is a leader manual and an activity guide that folks will read the book. And then, how do I do this with my team? And so whether it's delegation, or whether it's communication, or whether it's how to create fun moments, or how do I hire, we actually have a leader manual that's a write it down, scribble it, write in the margins kind of thing that you can take and bring back to your team. And so I would say folks that are out there that are saying, I want more time to create more revenue and impact. I would like less turnover. I would like to increase the happiness quotient of the people that work for me. Those are like the 3 in my sales process, if you will. And people go, that's exactly what I want. Great. Well, take a look at the book. Take a look at potentially a VIP day with me. I would be honored to folks that are really wanting the series and go deep with that. I'd love to be a part. But yeah, I'm grateful. I love you, and I love the fact that I've gotten to meet you this year and watch the way that you lead. And I've got so much to learn. So those of you listening in, we are going to have Darcy on our podcast called Created for Experience. So listen to that one too. I'm going to be able to ask you some great questions, but it has been my honor to be a guest on your podcast.
Oh my gosh, I adore you so much. And the work you're doing is so important because it really is entrepreneurs who have a full spirit, who want to serve, who can create these cultures that then put their money that they make into beautiful things that really bring light to the planet. Like, I really do feel it is a new system, a new generation of people making money, changing the world, doing those kinds of things. So when you have that powerful culture, it just provides better lives, better experiences, and better communication, just better everything. So I think your team members are just the luckiest people on the planet to have a leader like you who really understands how to communicate with them, how to serve them, because that's what it sounds like this is really about, is serving and empowering the people on your team so that you can go out and serve and empower people of the world, which is amazing.
My favorite scripture is Matthew 5:41. If somebody asks you to go 1 mile, go with them 2. And not to go like overly spiritual, but I believe that in culture. It's about, Gary Vee says this again. I know I quote and talk about him a lot, but he says, people don't work for you, you work for them. And if you
so true.
Have that mindset that Cassie is waiting every day to figure out how you can help solve her problems, remove roadblocks. And I've got a t-shirt that you can buy on my website. Okay. It's called Punch Ambiguity in the Face. It says that across the front of it. So I wear that also. I was like, okay, ambiguity, like bring it. And how could I help my team punch ambiguity in the face so they can get their job done more? And so I think that second mile is where the best, most brilliant ideas are. So if somebody asks you to go with them 1, which is you're now working and putting in your hours, whatever, how can I go with you 2? And so the best leaders are asking the question, like, what does it mean to go the second mile for my people? So that'd be my final
Such a good
thought.
Reminder. Oh, I'm going to show up for Cassie so well tomorrow. Cassie, do you hear this? You're editing this.
We love you, Cassie.
I'm going to be better. I love it. Okay. Do you want to try and freestyle rap? Should we?
Of course.
Focus or culture or I don't know. Your word is focus. It's 2020. You're kicking ass. You're doing so many big things. Everything is just like 10xing in your world. So I don't know. Do you need anything from me? I don't know how to.
No, you just sit there and enjoy. We'll see what happens. Okay. And so I started freestyle rapping. Actually, I did my very first TED Talk last month at TEDx Centennial Park Women, which is an amazing.
Oh, we're going to link to that too. We're going to link to all of the stuff on the show notes. So
some incredible lady. And I said my title of my talk, it was 12 minutes, and it was how to lead like a freestyle rapper. And I started with, what if Dr. Dre was your CEO? What if Nicki Minaj was your director of talent? And what if Jay-Z was responsible for all of your finances? And so,
oh my gosh,
I love freestyle rap. I love hip hop. And I wrote a blog series last fall called Hip Hop Raised Me. And I so much believe in the power of story. And when I learned how to freestyle rap, it was, how do you take things where they are and get outside of your own head and just talk about those things in a unique way. And so I wouldn't say I'm a great freestyle rapper. I just enjoy it a lot. So let me see if I can give you a little something. You ready? All right. I'm transformed. My life is different. It's terrific. Nothing scientific. I got the green light on the screen saying, hey, Billy B, will you speak to me in the Zoom 1s and 2s? It's 8:15 on the east side. That's right. Atlanta, Georgia is where I dwell. Represent. I'm not going to heaven or the other place. Representing I go, I flow. Just imaginary microphone. It's not imaginary. It's in front of me. My name is Billy B. I'm about to take a sip of this water. So you can see that I got my phone in front of me. Hit me on Instagram. It's at Billy Boughey. Represent. I'm not like hooey. That's all I could find to rhyme one time. I got Darcy in front of me saying, hey, Billy B, will you write a rhyme about me? I will. Go check out the website. It launches February 14th, Valentine's Day. That's Represent. As I go, just a kid on this microphone. I'm grateful you're listening to this podcast because it's on. I could go for 48 minutes, but I'm about to be done. Represent, because right now I'm done. See, I rap the same word. See,
I love it.
What people don't know about freestyle rap, you can just say the same word twice and you're fine. So anyway, that's it.
I love it. It's like Hamilton the musical.
Well, listen, last story. I was on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
That's right. That was when I remember that. And I was like fainting at your feet because I love Jimmy so much.
Well, I got to stand up and he asked me some questions and the Roots were going to freestyle rap about me. And in that one moment, I said, you know what? I'm going to stand up and do this. I'm going to have some bravery. And I told Jimmy, I said, and you can go tag this on Facebook.
I'm totally going to tag it. Yeah, it's going to be in all the show notes.
So I said, can I freestyle rap? And they let me freestyle rap on the show. So the show films at 4:00. I freestyle rapped. I went and watched Hamilton that night.
Oh, did you?
Then I went to dinner later that night and I actually watched myself on TV. And our business made $348,000 from that one moment because I tracked all the emails and people that wrote me because like, if you have the cojones to rap on national TV, like I want to work with your business. So that bravery idea, because I know if you have, like, all you got to be is a little bit more brave than scared. People that are brave are not like, oh, I've got it all the time. Like, no, I am terrified, y'all. Just about every day. Whenever I do it, I am literally terrified most days. Mm-hmm. But if I step out and say, and you mentioned a little earlier, if humanity will be better because you're brave, then do it.
Yeah.
And I have a sneaking suspicion, people with the right motives and the right intention, if you're brave enough, the world will be a better place. And so, like, why the hell not?
Yeah.
Like why not go bring the most value to people? Why are we wasting our time not doing that?
Yeah, I know. That's how the podcast got its name. I was writing in my journal one night. I'd so much rather play it brave than play it safe.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's it.
I love it.
Play it brave. Yep. That's a perfect ending to having you as a guest for the first time, because I'm going to have you back on your second book and your third book and every big thing that you do. I'm so honored to know you, and I'm so happy that you were with us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darcy. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Play It Brave podcast. Love what you heard? Wonderful. You can shout about it in the reviews. I bet you know someone who needs a shot of self-belief. Then don't keep us a secret. If you've missed something crucial, we've got show notes for this and all past episodes over at darcybenincosa.com/Play It Brave. Thanks for tuning in, but don't forget, the world teaches you to play it safe. Stand up, stand out, and start playing it brave.